one of the topic is firewall. So what is exactly the firewall and why we are using firewall? This is very important. So what is the concept of firewall? It's very basic thing. As you can see in the slides that what do you mean by the firewall? A firewall is just a system designed to prevent unauthorized access to or from a private network. And something in the private network, but you don't want that anybody will get come and can get access to the data, then you will need to ensure it using a firewall. So you can implement a firewall in either hardware or the software form or a combination of both. It means a firewall is a kind of thing that can be available in two forms. One is called the software and another is called the hardware form. So in hardware, you will get some equipment installed. You have to install those equipment in order to ensure that your firewall is working. While in case of software, you need to install some built-in files, some softwares, so that you can ensure the security of the system. Firewall prevent unauthorized internet users from accessing private networks connected to the internet and especially intranets. Now there are two terms are used. One is called internet and another is called intranet. The meaning intranet is that it will be local. It will be local. Internet is a word which represents the global scope of the thing. The range of internet is much higher as compared to the intranet. And intranet is like a system, like a lab that is already installed in your colleges, like lab 1, lab 2, lab 3. The networks that is installed in that small area is called intranet. So firewall is a kind of equipment, a kind of software, a kind of hardware which will provide you the possibility to reduce the unauthorized access of the users, and it is basically used mainly for the purpose of ensuring the security of the private networks, that is called especially in the internet. Now all messages entering or leaving the internet local area network to which you are connected must pass through a firewall, which examines each message and blocks that those do not meet the specified security criteria. It means you will apply some filters in between the networks, in between the two networks, where you are going to, you are going to deny some unauthorized users, some unauthorized users, that this, yes, that system cannot be provide access because it's not passing the security criteria. So firewall provide you the opportunity by which you can ensure that anybody cannot access your network. You have to specify the things on your systems, that these are the possible users that can access the systems. So it, in firewall, it is a kind of wall kind of, it is a kind of security kind of, that will examine a message and that will examine the user, and it will filter it out that yes, it is the legitimate user and other is not. So basically, suppose some traffic is coming in your network. This is the diagram that will represent a simple network where various kinds of end users are available. They can be in the computers, they can use some laptops, and some servers are also there. And this part is representing you the private networks where some networks, some users are available, and this is the internet. This is the area where your internet is available, and now you want to prevent the access, that whatever the traffic that is coming from the internet. As you all know that internet is now very freely available to everyone. Everyone can access the network in a very simple way by investing a very lesser amount of cost. So you want to filter it out that only the specific person, specific users can access my private networks. So how you can prevent it? There are many areas. You can use some security protocols in your websites, but there are some more areas like you can install some prerequisite before entering the private network. You have to pass these security criteria, and you can configure these security criteria in a firewall. So definitely it will not looking like a brick wall as shown in the network. It is just shown in the diagram. It is just a pictorial representation of how firewall you can, you can draw the firewall concept like this. So all the traffics that can pass out from the private network to the internet, but a very limited amount of traffic, but a very specific amount of traffic will allow to enter the private network. Similarly, as in this diagram, you can see that where firewall is installed. As you can see that, and you all have the knowledge about some interconnecting devices that you have studied in computer networks and data communication, like router, switches. With the help of, you can see here, total 3 routers and 2 switches. And you know that where you can use the routers and where you can use the switches and what will be topology of that specific networks. So here you can install the firewall. You can install the firewall in between the internet and your workstation. Workstation is simply a computer where a single person is working. That is represented in middle of the diagram. Similarly, in the first left portion of the diagram, you can see that a router which is going to connect with the switches, and switches will going to connect with the servers. Some telephone lines, some dial-up modems concept configuration is to be shown here. So if you want that this router can access the ultimate end users in the PC, so you have that router has to pass through the firewall. That yes, this is the legitimate user. Similarly, in the second diagrams, there are some maximum possible connections are shown here with the help of switches. Switches will provide you the interconnectivity between the different kinds of end users available. So where you can also install the firewall in with the help of routers. So you need to configure the firewall. It will not automatically get installed. You need to understand some more important concept related to the firewall, that why we are using firewall, how we can configure the firewall, what is the exact concept of firewall. In the coming slide, we will study those things. So basically, a firewall is a network security device that monitor incoming and outgoing network traffic. As in the diagram, you can see that it can monitor the incoming and outgoing traffic, and it can permit or blocks data packets based on a set of security rules. So who will going to decide the security rules? It is up to the network administrator, network configuration master person, who will configure the network that yes, this is the set of users, set of IPs that are allowed and that are not allowed. It will also be configured by the network administrator person. So the basic purpose of firewall is to establish a barrier between your internal networks and incoming traffic from external sources, such as internet, in order to block the malicious traffic like viruses and the hackers. So what is the basic concept? You want to ensure the security, you want to ensure the information security, and you ultimately you want to ensure the cyber security. So firewall is a kind of concept that will act as a barrier. Like suppose you want to enter in some new city where these states are going to change, or suppose you want to migrate from India to abroad, you have to pass through the immigration officers, so that you can pass, they can filter out that yes, you are the right person who can visit, you are the tourist or you are the terrorist. They can differentiate in between them. So the same concept is apply here. Everybody can't access your network. You need to pass some security criteria, security filtering criteria by which you can access the network. So basically, firewall can be used for the personal and the enterprise settings. Now, what is the meaning of enterprise here? Enterprise will represent some bigger level of uses of the networks, while in the personal, like at your home workstations, So you can install the firewall at both the places. Many devices comes with one built-in, including Mac, Windows, and Linux computers. Now we are living in a very advanced era, and I think that the devices that are coming are already equipped with the security provisions, and the operating systems that we are using are already providing some Microsoft firewall, as you have seen in the Windows where updates are available. Like in Windows 7, you will not get the facility because now Windows 7 is not providing any updates. But in case of some other Windows, like updated version of Windows 10, Windows, and more other versions, where they will provide you the updates and they will provide their firewall itself. So like they are widely considered as essential components of the network security. So without the firewall, if you are using any network, if you are using some private networks, then there is a possibility that your data can be hacked by the hackers. So how does a firewall works? Now next topic is that what is the basic concept of firewall? We have studied it. Now how does a firewall work? A firewall carefully analyze incoming traffic based on pre-established rule and filters traffic coming from unsecured or suspicious sources to prevent attack. First of all, how you can judge that this firewall is working, or if you want to configure the firewall, then what will be in your mind? The first thing is that you need to filter the traffic, and that traffic can be incoming and the outgoing one. So the pre-established rules and the filtered traffic coming from unsecured and suspicious sources to prevent attack. You need to prevent the attack. Why you are installing firewall? Because you need to prevent the attack. Third thing, who cannot pass the firewall? Some unsecured and suspicious sources. Firewall guards traffic at computer entry point. It is like a check post where your identity will be checked. So firewall guard the traffic at the computer entry point called ports. The entry point of the firewall is called the ports. You know what do you mean by the ports, because we have studied the concept of porting as the TCP port, FTP port, which is where information is exchanged with external devices. For example, source address 172.18.1.1, you know that this is the IP address dotted decimal format, is allowed to reach destination 172.18.2.1 over the port 22. You need to find out that yes, this IP will going to configure with that IP and with that port. So you will apply that whenever any source address is coming with a particular source, then this port will be used. So think of the IP as the houses. Now how you can easily understand the concept, as you know that IP is like the name of your whatever the name you are using in this world to get identified. Similarly, in networking, IP is basically a kind of concept available in the computer network where you need to identify these systems. You are identifying the PC. So IP addresses is like the houses, and the port number is the room within that house. Within that house, suppose you want to enter in the guest room, then you need some port number. So only the trusted people source addresses are allowed to enter the house destination addresses at all. Then it's further filtered so that the people within the house are only allowed to access the certain rooms destination ports, depending on if they are the owner or the child or the guest. It means you need to you want to give some privileges to the particular IP, that yes, this systems can be used by the this IP. But who can use that? Who will going to configure it? Because at the entry level you are going to provide the access denial services at the very beginning level, so that the possibility of the attack will get reduced automatically. Because if anybody will get entered into a room who is not the authorized one, will definitely get damage the things. And similarly, in the computer network, firewall is the thing. The owner is allowed to any room, while the children and the guests are allowed into the certain set of rooms. you can understand this concept with the help of online examination servers. Like in the online examination servers, if you have the roll number, and if you have the date of birth of the person, and if you have the mother name, you can access the. But suppose if you don't have the roll, you don't have the date of birth, you got the roll number from any other uh, uh, sheet of the exam, but you don't have the date of birth of the person, and you also get the mother name, but you cannot access the exam paper with the help of these three criteria. So, so here you can find out the uh, concept of firewall, that yes, this person is allowed to access the particular pages, particular things of that room. So basically, this is all about the firewall.